Hi everyone, you're watching Good for the Game TV, and it appears as though you may be watching Gavin the Oracle shaking his head there. We can't hear him for some reason, but for some reason the screen is staying on him. So, oh, there we go. I've got it across to myself there. I didn't realize you could do that. But anyway, Gavin was trying to join us there, Oracle Rugby. You're watching, of course, the Handicap. It's our first proper Handicap show of the year, and that's because we've got big rugby coming up. We've got the Six Nations starting this weekend. We're going to be having a look at the outright betting. We're going to be having a look at the weekend's handicaps, and we'll also be having a look ahead to Super Rugby, because I know at least one of my panelists has already bonded his house for the third time and has started investing in some of the Super Rugby markets. Before you do anything else, though, go to the bottom of the video, subscribe, make sure you don't miss any of our videos going forward. Let's start, though, by introducing the panel. And first up, down from Cape Town, it's Henrik Swart. Henrik, good to have you back on the show.
Hi, Brent. Nice to be back. Yeah, had a nice rest and ready to take the year. It's lots of rugby. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm probably one you referred to because you and me, we chatted about a few of the markets this week. I'm quite heavily involved in the Super Rugby already, and I've made a few Six Nations bets today as well.
Well, I'm sure a few of the boys are looking forward to seeing what you're getting involved in. I know you have put some of it on Twitter, but judging by the amount that you WhatsApp me, there's still plenty of bets to talk about on the show. So we'll definitely get to that towards the end of the show on the Super Rugby. And then let's go down to George and Hein Demont. Hein, how are you, sir?
Hey, how's it, Brent? No, I'm good. It's just time now to leave all this losing money on cricket and get into the rugby, because at this rate my funds wasn't going to make it. So I need to make some money on the Super Rugby and Six Nations now.
And it's been a while since we've seen Couch Critic on the show. Good to have you back on. And yeah, you're obviously just raring to go for the year.
Cheers, thanks, yeah, Brent. I think I could be a game ranger by now. I've been to a few game reserves and spent some nights there. So I've seen the Lions up close, but now it's time to get to the rugby version of it.
Right. Well, it looks as though while I was trying to get Oracle on, I've clicked something which I've never clicked before. So I've actually got to manually control the screen now, which is not too difficult, but just something I've probably got to bear in mind. But let's get straight into the Six Nations. And Henrik, perhaps we should start with the outright betting. I have seen what looks like a bit of money for Ireland there. I don't know what, I haven't shopped around, I must be honest today, but they were generally around the 5 to 6 mark. I've seen a short now as 15 to 20. And I guess a lot hinging on this opening game. But where are you getting involved outright, or you're more focusing on the matches?
Brent, I'm going to get involved on the outright. I'll obviously bet on all the matches as well, or most of the matches. Ireland are worthy favourites, and I think they probably should win the Six Nations. When me and you talked about the World Cup a few weeks ago, you mentioned that some of the teams might be focused on the World Cup more than the Six Nations or the Rugby Championship. So that's a bit of concern. I think I'm going to go a bit wider. I'm going to go for a bit of value. I like Wales. I've had a look at their schedule. Even though they've only got 2 home games, those 2 home games are against Ireland and England. So that's 2 tough games. So the 3 away games, they've got France first up, which could be a bit of a tricky one. But I think Wales could win tomorrow night. And then they've got Italy and Scotland away. I like Wales in the market, but BetExchange as a market winner without Ireland. And they've got Wales at 2 to 1. So I like that. And then also the deal forecast Wales and Ireland to end first and second. Doesn't matter who ends first and ends second at 5 to 2. So in the outright markets, that's the 2 bets I like. And then I've also got a tournament bet on points. The total points for the tournament at Sportingbet they have 690.5. I've gone for unders. It's at 7 to 10. But in the last 11 years, only once has there been more than 690 points, and that was in 2016 when it was 693. So I think that's a solid bet going unders on the 690.
I mean, I like that for a long-term bet, Henrik, because yes, you can look at averages and all the rest of it, but you've got things like, you just need one weekend where there's terrible weather in most of the places and it goes under. So sorry, just how much is that average per game that you've got to look to beat?
That's 46 points a game.
46 points a game. I think that's an excellent bet. Let's move across now to Hein and see what he fancies. Hein, anything in the long-term markets for you in the Six Nations?
Brent, I mean, I'm a big fan of Ireland, so I won't be opposing them. But I was actually liking. I do like Wales as the second best, but I wouldn't take them outright because I just think Ireland are so strong. But I like that dual forecast that Dominic is talking about. I think that could be a a good one. That could be a nice runner. And I think the other good thing to look at with the points, which I've just thought about, is quite a significant one. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Six Nations just because I think it's going to be the best, most well contested one. You know, everyone's pretty much on a high there in the Northern Hemisphere, so that's going to be a cracking one. And I actually think, you know, the tighter and the more even they are, the less runaway games you're going to see. So that could be good for the points as well. You know, could get some tight tussles there between Wales and England and Ireland and so on. So you probably shouldn't see runaway scores. So actually, I like that one. And then I've just basically backed Wales as well in terms of going far by saying I've looked at the try scorer markets, and I'll have a go on George North at 14-1 to be the tournament top try scorer. And if you want something better, maybe look at Josh Adams, who's on the other wing. He could also slip in for a few. So I've seen him at 22-1, but if you can get him at a little bit better than that, then you should have a nice runner there at a good price.
Well, I must say one thing about going for the Welsh guys. You know, you've at least got their home games always going to have decent conditions. You know, they generally do close the roof, so those are certainly markets to look at. Before I bring in Gavin, just welcome to all the boys on the live chat. Lots of chat, guys. Lots of you talking about the EP Kings game against Edinburgh on the weekend. I'm going to have to say, if you keep talking about that game on the live chat, I'm going to have to start blocking people because it was one of my worst punting defeats in quite some time. I went over 55.5 points at the start of the game. That was in trouble. I chased at halftime quite badly. Edinburgh over 22.5. And despite, I mean, one of the most ridiculously one-sided opening 20 minutes I've ever seen, and somehow or other Edinburgh couldn't score. So that was a nightmare. But let's see if we could score. Let's see if we can score the opinion of the Oracle now. I'm going to go to him and see if his volume's working. Gavin, are you there?
Yeah, it looks like it's working, Brent. I see the green little dots on the right-hand side, so it must be working.
Oh, excellent. Any idea what you did wrong the first time?
I have absolutely no idea. I watched the GGG show, sorry. Yeah, don't know. Everything was fine. I heard you guys perfectly. I was waving. I was trying to get it right, pressing buttons. First time I've used my cell phone for this kind of thing. My last on Sunday. And, yeah, they're still trying to get me another one, so... I've got no computer right now. I've got only my cell phone.
Right. Well, I must admit, Gav, just looking at you there, you remind me of in the Gulf War when they used to cross to some of the guys down in the bunkers and stuff like that. You look like you in a dungeon there. What have you been in hibernation?
No, it's just the camera angles on the table looking up at about 45 degrees now. I'm sitting on my patio. It's obviously dark out here tonight. It was raining earlier, so it's actually heavy clouds. But yeah, no, I'm no dungeon, just sitting on the patio, just a bad angle for the camera. Sorry.
And what do you like outright in the Six Nations?
I'm going to go for Scotland again, Brent. Last year, this year I think they've got the easier of the home games. Italy at home. They play Ireland at home and they play Wales at home, if I'm stand to be corrected, but I think I'm right. And, yeah, just got a feeling, yeah, I think they'll go to England, they'll win that game. They'll beat Ireland at home. They're going to smash Italy. Going to France will be the tough one. It's not impossible for them, but I think Scotland are certainly value. And I think England are gone. I think it's between Scotland and Ireland. I don't think Wales have got any chance. I think it's Scotland first or second.
Well, you can always rely on Gavin to have an opinion, and Peter Paul just making quite a good comment on the live chat. He's saying that's what happens when you back the Lions all the time. You end up homeless, like Gavin looks like he is at the moment. But okay, so Gavin's on the Scots. We could see more of the same. I've got a feeling we won't talk about it too much now, but I think you and Hendrik are going to disagree quite a bit in Super Rugby this season. That's for sure. But let's get into the first game, guys, because we've got it. It's tomorrow night, of course. We've got the Friday start. And we've got France hosting Wales. There's been a lot of betting activity in this match, but not a lot of movement. It's very much a choice game. And I've spoken to punters. I would have to say that the majority of punters I've spoken to and seen on the forum are leaning Wales. And let me bring Couch Critic in here. Couch, what do you make of it?
Yes, I think in the previous show as well, if you saw the score predictions there, it was mostly leaning towards Wales, if I'm not mistaken. And I was actually very firm on this game early in the week. And it's actually a bit disappointing that Bostro isn't playing. I actually thought he would have been better with him in the team than not in the team. So it's actually a little bit to like about France. I think with Lopez and Fofana there in the back line, I mean, that's something interesting and something a little bit fresher for them, which could be exciting. And Paul Willemse at lock is nice and solid. So I think it could be hopefully the start of a new dawn for France, but it's too early for them. Wales are a settled team. They're a team on the up. They're a team of 9 wins in a row or something like that. So I just think that there shouldn't be any stopping Wales at this moment, and even money on them is, to me, that's a cracking price and a cracking bet.
Right, well, let's bring Hendrik in there. Hendrik, I know you are leaning towards the Welsh here. You were confident early in the week. You're still confident?
Yes, Brent, I like the Welsh. I'm a big Warren Gatland fan, and I think Wales will do well in the Six Nations this year. So yeah, I've gone Wales just under even money to win the game, and then also the same bet Chris had in his preview, Wales by 1-12. I like that as well. I got 16-10 on that, and then I will be looking to go under some total points as well here. I had a look at the stats, and the last 12 fixtures between these two sides. Only 2 games has had more than 40 points, and the last 5 at the start of France, none of those 5 went over 40 points.
Well, I must say, when I saw you give that stat, I actually went and had a look as well. And quite right. I mean, there's very seldom points when these sides meet. I see the line is 37.5, so you don't have too much to play with if you get a sort of let's call it a loose patch. But I think playing in France at night, I think that unders is probably quite a solid play. And a man who's doing a little bit of head nodding, and we wonder why. We're going to find out why now. Gavin Cohen, where you go in this first game? Scotland aren't playing, so leave them out of it.
Yeah, Brent, I got to tell you, I'm going to disagree with both of these oaks. I'm sorry, Wales are not going to France, and they're not going to win this game. They're not going to France to win this game, should I say. Ireland went over there last year, scraped it by 1. They won the tournament comfortably in the end. If they couldn't do it by more than 1, Wales are certainly not going to do it. France at home, like Gary said in his last show, geez, you're getting 11-10 about France. That's a crazy price. I've got to tell you, I know this has been out for a while, but deliberately I didn't look at them. I was quite amazed when I saw that this was a choice game. I honestly thought I'd be fighting to try and get -3 or -4 France. The fact that I'm getting 11-10 on the board is unbelievable. I don't think Wales stand a chance here. In fact, this is going to be a double-digit win. France will smash them.
Right. Well, the boys are definitely in different camps there. Gavin, let's stick with you for the next game then, and that's Scotland up against
Sorry,
Italy.
I just want to say one thing, Brent. On the GG show, you asked us to put our predictions there. I go France by 12, and it's straight away when I put it on, I thought, geez, I'm an idiot. Some oaks going to go France by 13. Nobody did. I've got every France win from 12 up. I thought I was too low. But honestly, I think this will be a double-digit win by the French, and it might even be under 40. It could be 20-0. Who knows?
Right. Well, Gav, we'll stay with you then. Let's move on to a game where the bookmakers agree that we're going to get a double-digit game, and that is Scotland against Italy. I've seen anything ranging from sort of 22.5 to 25.5 in favour of Scotland here. Now, you like Scotland for the tournament, we know that, but does that mean you're going to be ploughing into them on a handicap like this, or are you going to treat it with respect?
Absolutely, Brent. This kind of a game it's a difficult one. Look, there's no doubt that Scotland can win this game by 40. They can also win it by 33, and geez, they can win it by 22 and miss the handicap. At this stage, I'm very tentative on this particular call. Scotland will win the game, and as we know, we've seen plenty of times with big handicaps, teams just want to win the game. Scotland get up to about 16, 17, 20 points lead. They may pull off their players. It's an easy game for them. They're expecting it. I've got to say one thing, though. For guys that have been following Six Nations for many years, this is definitely the highest handicap we've ever seen in this fixture at home for Scotland. I don't remember seeing anything higher than about 15 or 16. So the fact that it's gone into the 20s, yeah, I'm scared to take that because France win this game by 19 or 20. They're going to be high-fiving. They're going to be going into the dressing room happy. They don't need to win by 26 or 30, although they can. So, yeah, it's a small play for me. At this stage, I haven't even had a bet on that game. I'm probably going to wait till game time, maybe even half time, and have a bet. I've got no doubt Scotland will win, but I'm certainly not ploughing into it.
Right, well, let's move across to a Couch Critic. Couch, what do you think of this one?
Oh, listen, Brent, I've got no time for Italy, really, but you have to say it's almost a double-edged sword. Do you want to start with them and slowly build yourself into the tournament, or would you like to get them to really rack up some points and make sure you get the bonus point in the bag? You know, that's the both sides of the coin. To me, I think, you know, Scotland, every team's going to struggle in that first half just to find their form, find their feet and start to get going. Italy are scrapping side. They usually try and bring you down to their level. So my play on this one is actually Italy on the first half handicap. I think they'll try and mug them in that first half, keep it ugly, irritate them, and then in the second, I mean, I love that Hogg and Russell combination at 10 and 15. That's just a creative pairing, having in two critical positions. So I mean, I really like Scotland, but I just think hopefully in the second half they might pull away. So I'll take Italy 12.5 is the handicap there, and then Stuart McKinley, the hooker, to have the first try. I mean, they'll try and dominate Italy up front, even though Scotland don't have the biggest back, but he likes to score for Rayleigh Maul. He's quite keen on that. So that's at 11-1. That's another pick. And then obviously I've got my favourite Hugh Jones to cross the whitewash somewhere in the game. We'll probably get even money on that.
Oh, well, I saw a couple of head nods there from Henrik, so he agrees with one of the two guys. I've got a feeling I know which one. And Henrik as well, I guess with Italy games as well, they're the guys you from your points bet perspective, under 690. They're the sort of guys you don't really want them taking too many big claps. You want them to at least be competitive, because that'll keep the scores down in those games.
Yeah, the one game I'm a bit concerned about with Italy is they're going to Twickenham, so they might get a few points against them there. But I'm with Ryan on this one, 100% with Ryan. I'm also on Italy on the first half handicap. I think Scotland might pull away in the second half, but Italy, they're normally a good first half team. So I've also taken the plus 12.5 at 17-20. My only concern in Italy is their last 7 games in Edinburgh, only once have they scored more than 12 points. So that's a bit of a concern, but I'm going for Italy on the plus first half handicap. Yeah.
Right, so the halftime handicaps appear to be the way to go. I must be honest, I don't have a firm view on this game. I'm a big fan of Scotland. I'm not quite in Gavin's camp. I don't necessarily see them as winners. I like Henrik has also nailed it down. I think Ireland are going to win, but I think Wales are the potential dangers. And the reason I say that as well, I think the big game is Ireland-England. And if England somehow win that, I think it's also going to bring Wales right into the equation as well. There's some definite head shaking coming there from Gavin. But I do like Scotland, so certainly not looking to oppose them. But guys, the match of the weekend, without a doubt, is going to be Ireland up against England. I did see somewhere around 10.5, 11.5 points a while ago. There seems to be quite a little bit of sentiment and money in England on the handicap. And Hendrik, let me start with you on this one. What do you think? We're looking at another 1-12 results here? Yes,
that's exactly what I went for, Brent. I think it's being such a big game for both these sides. If the one who loses this game, they're on the back foot from the start. So both need to win this game. And I think England will run Ireland close. I know Gavin's not going to agree with me there because he doesn't like England. But I think Ireland by 1-12 at 15-10. And then looking at the points, I checked the last 6 games in Dublin between these teams. The highest total was 32 points. And of the last 12 between these teams in Dublin and London, none of those games went 40 or more points. So this is also under this game. It's such a lot at stake. I think the defenses from both sides should be good.
Right, well, let's go across to Gavin. Gavin, this is a big game, especially for your Scots. You're hoping it'll be a draw.
Geez, Brent, I don't know if this is a big game. This is a one-sided game. There's only one team in this match, and that's Ireland. And I got to tell you, Henrik said I don't like the English. I've punted the English lots against this Irish team. In fact, I think I went for them last year against Ireland. But I got to tell you, England are going to be fighting Italy for 4th place here, for 5th place. Sorry, I think this is over. I mean, the only reason that would stop England from losing by less than 10 is if Ireland, I don't know, suddenly change their whole team and give up, because that Eddie. In fact, I'm going to stand here now, and I can remember this as hearing it here first. I don't even think Eddie Jones is going to make the World Cup. He'll be sitting in the stands with me. I'm planning to go. I think he'll be sitting in the stands with me. I don't think he'll be coaching England. This is the end for him. If they win more than one game, yeah, I mean, obviously they should beat Italy, but I can't see England beating any of the other 5 teams. I really can't. I'll be surprised if Ireland don't beat this team by also close to 20.
Well, I must say, Gavin, I'm just having a chuckle here because, just as we lead into Couch Critic, I'm predicting an England-Ireland World Cup final, and I'm just guessing that Gavin isn't in the same camp as me. He doesn't see. Won't get out the group. Couch, we'll bring you in there. How do you follow a show like that? Where do you go on this game?
I'm just looking forward. I hope the camera pans to Gavin, Eddie, and Michael Cheika watching the rugby from the stands. That's going to be very interesting in the World Cup. Eh?
With Jose Mourinho serving them drinks.
Definitely. No, listen, I think the big thing that's quite important for England is having the Vunipolas back. I mean, I think they'll make a little bit of a difference. Obviously, they might not hit the ground running, especially in England colours. They have been back for Saracens. So that's nice, and Tuilagi at the back, that's just a little bit more comfort for Eddie Jones. He's been playing without 3 of his key players there, so I think that'll hopefully shore them up a little bit. But I mean, Ireland are running on autopilot at the moment. They just know their structures, they know their system. Everything's going hunky dory there. The system's running at full speed. So I don't think Ireland will lose, but I'm loving the 1-12. I think 1-12 Ireland. I've got 15-10. To me, that's a good price and that's a good bet. I see Ireland just ticking away and keeping ahead. It's going to be a nice Conor Murray, Johnny Sexton. To me, gives them the edge there. Those two just know each other very well. The pack's going to be a great matchup again. They're going to really get stuck in there, and there's not a big difference between them. But again, Ireland just know how to get the job done up front. So eventually, I think Ireland will just wrestle things away. But they're not going to worry about trying to pull away anything. A win's a win. They just want to do it quick and dirty and get out of there and notch up a victory over England and then move on to later in the tournament. So Ireland 1-12 to me is that's the way to go.
I must say, I would be stamping that as well. I like Ireland 1-12. That brings us to the end of the Six Nations. So before we move on to chat a little bit of Super Rugby, let's just run through the panel and get your best Six Nations bet for the weekend. Hendrik, we'll start with you.
Brent, I'm going Wales 1-12.
Wales 1-12. And that's at about 15. No, that must be at about, what, 18-10?
Oh, I got 16-10. They might be bigger out there, but that's the best I got, was 16-10.
16-10. And let's move on then to Hein.
I'll just keep it easy. I'm just going for Wales outright for the win. They might just pull away there, so I'll take the extra insurance. I'm taking Wales. I've got even money on them.
Right. Before we go to Gavin, I like Ireland on the 1-12 at about 15-10, and Oracle will give you the last word on the Six Nations.
Yeah, best bet France to win on the board, and in fact, if you're a little bit brave like me, you'll probably be looking for about a -7 or -8 at around about 2-1 or 22-10. I think it'll be a double-digit win by the French.
Right, so that's our Six Nations wrapped up. We certainly got some differences of opinion. Elkhart Werner just saying in the live chat he does like the bold predictions, and I guess it is good to nail your colours to the most. And one thing I can say about all of the panelists on this show, myself included, we don't just say what we think; we put our money there as well. So next week you often find us looking a little bit depressed or alternatively flying high. And certainly looking forward to that. I took a big pelting this weekend, so I'll be looking to bounce back from that. But guys, before we knock off for our first proper handicap show of the year, let's talk a little bit of Super Rugby because we've got 2 weeks to go. I've seen the likes of Vin Naidu on Twitter making the point that the Super Rugby build-up hasn't been great. There hasn't been a lot of excitement, and they actually said they're looking to the boys on the handicap to generate the excitement. And one way to get excited about any sport, let's face it, is to get your money down. And Hendrik, I'm not going to waste time here. I'm going to come straight in with you because you've got plenty of money down. I hope your wife isn't watching the show. She doesn't know how much money you've got down. But you've really got stuck in and you've taken views on a few teams.
Yeah, Brent, I've given my bankroll a bit of a knock. So I've taken a few bets. When GG Gaming came out with the conference betting, I had a look at I think they were first out with the conference betting. I'm not so sure on the outright because it's a difficult year with the World Cup, so I'm not sure. But the TV sites, they will probably risk a few players later in the tournament, so that's going to make it tough. So I'm a bit undecided on the New Zealand and the Australian conference, but the South African conference, I like the 6-1 Sharks to win the South African conference. But luckily, I held fire and I didn't make my bet with GG. And then on Monday, when I checked, I saw there's 12-1 Sharks to win the South African conference. I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I've had a big bet, a pretty big bet on the Sharks to win the South African conference on 12-1. I've drawn a line through the Lions, Stormers, and Jaguars. The Jaguars, they've lost Nicholas Sanchez, they've lost their coach Mario Ledesma, and then the Stormers, they're perennial disappointers, and Western Province Rugby Union is a bit of a mess. And the Lions, they showed some tact last year, and for me, the team on the demise, and I like the Sharks after winning the Currie Cup last year. They're a young I've got a few young players in the team on the rise. And I've also taken a few other bets, opposing the Lions and backing the Sharks. I've taken the Sharks to make the finals at 22-10, which I think is a great bet. Even if they don't win the conference, that one could come through. I've taken them to make the semi-finals at, what was the price? Let me just check, sorry.
Must have been about 5-6 to 1.
15-2. And to make, so that's the semi-finals, and to make the final at 14-1, which wasn't a big bet. And then opposing the Lions, I've taken the Lions to miss the playoffs at 7-2, and Lions to miss the semi-finals at 19-20, and at 19-20 is also for me a very solid bet.
Excellent. Well, Hendrik, there's plenty of bets there. One of the bets I quite like is that Sharks to make the final, and irrespective of whether which South African side you like. I mean, let's face it, the problem is normally, the South African sides generally get home ground advantage right up into the semis, and then quite often have to travel to New Zealand. So that bet of them to make the final, if you like them, is certainly a good one. I'm going to skip over Couch Critic. We will come back to him now, but I think it's very important after the way you sort of look to oppose the Lions. We see what camp Mr. Oracle is in this year.
I think, Henrik, I think you're correct in opposing the Lions, especially before this Jaguares game. No Ledesma, no Sanchez. I was looking at the prices the other day. I saw around about 9 to 10 on that match, which I thought was quite odd because I'm certainly going to be all over the Jaguares in that first game against the Lions. You and I both agreed on the Sharks last year at 9 to 10 to make the playoffs. I think they got a better chance this year than they did last year. And last year we were chucking tickets in the bin and we had to retrieve them because they ended up making it. So, yeah, I'm all over the Sharks. In fact, last Friday night I was at the Sharks Player Awards at Sabaya Casino. And I got to tell you, I never saw a single Sharks player with an alcoholic drink in their hand. So these oaks are focused. They attentive. They know what they're doing. I'm with you. I think the Sharks are going to have a big year this year. And at current prices, I won't be touching the Lions. Obviously, in specific games, I'll probably have a go, but I'm certainly not backing them in the first game. And I'm not taking any outright bets on the Lions. I do agree with you. 14 to 1. In fact, might wait a bit. There are 2 more weeks or a week and a half to go before they start. I think the mug punters are still going to back the Lions, and we'll probably get some better prices on the Sharks if you hang on. With regards to that first game against the Sunwolves, the Lions went there 3 years ago. I know it's a different coach and different players and all of that, but the Lions had just come from their Currie Cup win and had won by 10. Last year, the Sharks went over there and won by, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. They were minus, 12 or whatever it was. They won by 21. I think the Sharks will destroy the Sunwolves in that first game. And so you better, if you are going to back the Sharks, you need to do it before they get on the field to the Sunwolves, because I think the prices are going to dive after that.
Well, that's always the worry when you're punting, is at what time do you get on? I mean, I think Henrik grabbing that 12 to 1 was spot on the conference. I popped onto Hollywood Bets now. I see they've shortened from 12 to 10. I think Sunbet have probably done likewise. Those are guys who came out with big prices on the conference. So it's all about timing. I must say, a couple of the boys, Peter Paul, saying he doesn't want to tie his money up for too long. And I find myself in that position, unfortunately, at the moment where there are a lot. I mean, some of what Hendrik's telling me, I tell you what, if I had a few 100,000 lying around in the old bank account, I'd be moving in. But I'm just at that point where I can't necessarily afford to tie the money up. So I'm going to have to be very selective. And even on the World Cup, for example, I'd love to get involved. But for now, I'm just going to be taking a little bit more of a watching brief. But a man who has no such monetary problems because he lives the high life. He's owns 15 properties down in Knysna, is Couch Critic. Couch, you're getting involved early?
Brent, I'm 100% with you on that one, but that's why I like the conference at like 12 to 1, because at that price, you can afford to tie up a little bit. It's not like you have to make a major investment. That's what my issue is like with a 2 to 1. Anything less than 3 to 1 to me, that's I don't want to wait 4 or 5 months to get my money back. That's a little bit. I'd rather have some funds in hand and try and make it per game than wait that long. If I do take something like the Sharks to make the finals at 22 to 10 or whatever, then I try and combine it into a long-term multiple, like taking someone to win the Cricket World Cup or something like that. So then I try and do it that way. So I know there's like a little bit of a big payout building up, but then you obviously got to have a long-term fancy. So that's the way I do it there. Then just in terms of the excitement, I'm definitely getting geared up. I'm actually just got back from Worcester to George, and tomorrow I'm leaving again. Going to watch some cricket, and then doing the superhero thing on Sunday. So I'm going to go take a close gander at what's happening there. I see the Sharks have got a pretty strong team out there. A few of the youngsters up front, but that back line has got Cohen Bosch in there, Mapimpi and and Lowe and Volvo and Corsi. So that's a pretty decent team. So it'll be nice for them to get a run out, and then they still got the likes of Beast and Ruan Botha coming back from Japan. So that's gonna be a decent side. But I think the only thing is that these guys might not know is it's a dicey business backing the Sharks when they're favourites, or you're expecting a lot of them, because that's usually when they're at their worst. So I'm a little bit worried that I followed Hendrik into the 12th one. I actually asked him yesterday or today why the confidence, apart from the fact that we might be the best of a bad bunch of South African teams. I'm still worried about the others across the pond. So that's why I could take them in the conference, but after that, I'm a little bit concerned, because I still think there's no South African team that's got a complete side that looks brilliant to me. And I mean, the same Sharks team. There's no acquisitions. There's nothing special that happened from last season. So I don't know how we can expect them to go from scraping into the knockouts to winning the competition. I mean, I don't see that kind of turnaround. And I think Robert might have some of his own ceilings that he can't pass. So I'm not sure he's a Super Rugby winning coach, but we'll wait and see. We'll see what happens there. But no, the Sharks have a decent squad. I'm with the guys on the Lions. I mean, they're a little bit depleted. They've lost Jakub Kriel and Mostert and a lot of guys. So, I mean, you just can't expect them to keep playing at that level. I must say, if it wasn't for the off-field things, but I mean, you say that every season, the Stormers are great on paper and not so good on grass. So, I mean, that's a beautifully balanced team. You've got Kitshoff and Mbonambi and Etzebeth when he's fit. I think he's pretty close. Jean-Ray Augustus to come in as backup there. It's a beautiful team. They've got Willemse that they could play at fly. John Luke when he's ready. Stander isn't bad. Damien Darlende and Nell is going to be in the centres. I'm looking forward to that. So I really like them as a team, but I hate Fleck as a coach, and I'm worried about all those issues. I think they're more a mental team, you know. When they go mentally walkabout, they go completely gone. So the Sharks are the way to go at the moment, but let's not get carried away there. Actually, and the Bulls could be a little bit of a lurker, but again, I think they've got old school thinking on the sidelines, which is a bit of a problem. You know, Anton Leonard's been there, done that. I don't think he's up to that level. Iman, verdict is still out. He's definitely not going to be new chicks. And so we'll see what they can do, but they've got some pretty decent players there, and I'm looking forward to Warwick Geland. It's a big season for him, so that's going to be good. Sorry, I think I said a lot now.
Excellent, Darren. I think that's the longest I've ever seen a guy go without a breath. Very well done indeed. You certainly do know the Super Rugby, absolutely no doubt about that. Just to mention a couple of the live comments, Steve Reed saying he doesn't like to play in the first week, and Henrik actually coming in there. I see Henrik and saying you do very well there. But one thing I think, Henrik, you would probably agree with Steve on, where he says, don't read anything into the preseason friendlies. Yeah,
I'm 100% with him there. 100%. I don't even watch the preseason games. I don't care about that. I don't look at the results. It's normally, you can't go with that. Yeah, the first few weeks, it feels like the bookies are just catching up, and if you're sharp, you can have a bit of an advantage over the bookies the first few weeks. So I've always tended to do well at least the first 4 weeks, and also always the first week I've had a good week. So yeah, that's always the time for me to cash in.
Right. Well, guys, I think that brings us to the end of the show. We'll probably have some longer shows coming forward, because we're going to have sometimes 7 Super Rugby games, I think. Or I don't know if 6 is the maximum this year, 6 or 7. Plus, we're going to have, of course, 6 nations to talk about. It's going to be so much rugby to chat about. I might also do a little bit of a show for Varsity Cup. It's going to be quite hard in the first week. That starts on Monday as well. But let's end the show this way. We've already given our 6 nations best bet. I'm going to say to you, I'll give you 100,000. You can have a bet on any one of the long-term markets, whether it be a 6 nations victory, anything like that, or onto the World Cup. Where do you put your 100,000? Can be a short price, it can be a big price. Let's end off that way. Gavin, I'm going to start with you. I want that bet from you, and then I want to just hear what you got planned for the year as well.
Yeah, sorry, Brent. I just want to say one more thing. Sorry, my opposition of the Lions here is not so much about the team. I do agree with both Couch and Henrik, that they are a bit depleted and whatever. But the reality is, it's all about price. Their price has got so ridiculous now that I'm just not interested. I am a Lions supporter on the side without my money. And at the end of the day, they won the South African Conference 3 years in a row. They came second the year before, bar a draw to Stormers in that last game. The reality is they will be there or thereabouts, and it depends on how well they play. But their prices are very restrictive. The other thing, as Couch just said a few minutes ago, the Bulls are a team that I'm also interested in. Yes. I think if we had horse racing betting opportunities here, I'd be taking the exacta Bulls and Sharks, and I'd certainly throw the Lions in as a roving banker for the trifecta or the quartet, because I cannot see the Stormers arriving in that first three, and the Jaguares are just, they're just a complete anomaly. We don't know anything about them. They show up one day, they don't show up the next day. I don't know. My 100,000, I got to agree with Henrik. Sharks to make the playoffs, I think, is an absolute certainty. I think it's great. With regards to myself this year, yeah. So I've decided to tone it down a bit on my website. I found that last year I was doing 15 to 20 hours a week. I wasn't getting too much money out of bookmakers. I was getting a little bit, but my wife was getting irritated with me. I was doing a lot of work. So what I'm doing this year is I'm going to go and do one post a week, one video a week. I put all the stuff onto one video, and I'm going to pick a best bet and a second or third bet, and then I'm going to tell people what I think of the others. I don't necessarily know I'm going to get involved in every single game this year. Like this particular weekend, I'm all over France. With regards to Ireland, it's a smaller bet, Ireland minus, and the Scotland-Italy game will be something I decide during the game. So right now, I'm not even having a bet on that. So I'm toning it down a bit, but I also want to look at what I'm going to do towards the World Cup later on in the year. I'm also going to put some videos together on bet types and explaining betting things. I've got some nice calculators that I've got on Excel that I know a lot of these punters, especially guys like Henrik and Couch and yourself for that matter, will actually love. I'm an expert at Excel, and I've really made some nice betting calculators that anyone's involved in would definitely enjoy. So, yeah, I'm just taking a bit of a different view, bit of a back seat, not so much a back seat, but more of a middle seat, and we'll see how it goes. So, yeah, I'm just toning it down a bit, and rather more quality than quantity, for lack of a better phrase.
Excellent, Gavin. We'll look forward to, of course, having you on this show. Always like your opinion and enjoy the fact that you are very opinionated and give us exactly what you think. Let's move on to Hein now and see what he fancies for his 100,000 Rand bet.
Yeah, Brent, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think closer to the World Cup, I'd look at something on Ireland to make the final. I think they could chip up. I don't know if New Zealand is going to play them, but they could chip up in the final. But I think like Ireland to make it there is a pretty good one. I think they should go far. So I'd go for something like that. There's just no ways I'd put big money on the Sharks to do anything. Those Oaks can drop you cold. That's nasty. So I definitely wouldn't be going that way. Otherwise, there's nothing that I'm like really sticking my head out this season to start with. I think it's going to be all round in rugby. It's a volatile season. It's not really for me this season to go put a big bet on a certainty. To me in rugby this season, there isn't a lot of certainties. Going into the World Cup, there are many more contenders than I think there've ever been. Going into the Six Nations, it's tighter than I think it's ever been. Going into Super Rugby, you don't know what they're going to do with resting of players. I mean, I think New Zealand, they've got a good central contracting system. They just call it out and say, listen, you guys aren't playing at the moment, and that's the way it is. So that could make it tough, while I think the South Africans wouldn't necessarily do it quite as easily. And I actually heard on that Sunwolves game that some of the guys were in the Jap camp and they wouldn't be able to make the first game as well. So, I mean, that's already impacting the tournament in week one. So now you've got to know what you're going to be seeing throughout this World Cup. So that's going to be strange. But, I always like my exotic plays. That's the way I'll keep on going. I'm going to look to get involved more in terms of a punting perspective this year. And, so try and go a little bit bigger and then keep my exotics, already eyeing Richie Mo'unga to be the top point scorer in Super Rugby, because even if he doesn't play, I don't think he'll be a big pull out in terms of All Black colours, because he's not the first choice fly. So things like that you got to keep in mind, and I'd look to have a go for that. And then just generally, I think I'll try and watch a little bit more sport live. So that's the plan already this weekend. I'm going to try and keep it up, try and the couch critic might be a little bit more of a stadium critic now. We'll see. So that's the plan. Obviously, I'd love to go to the World Cup or something like that, but that's not going to happen. I almost had a plan to go to Oz and go watch the Sharks play the Crusaders in New Zealand, and then back up and watch a game in Melbourne. But I think that's going to have to wait another year after a successful betting year this year, hopefully.
Right. Well, so you're a little bit undecided in your 100,000 there, Couch. Before I bring Hendrik in with his 100,000, here's mine, guys. 350,000 to 100,000, Ireland to win the World Cup. I think they're going to start the World Cup at closer to 5-2. And if I had that 100,000 now, I would lump it on them. Unfortunately, I don't. But for me, it's all about the Irish. I think they've got the depth.
You can have 4 from me, Brent.
Sorry, Gav?
You can have 4-1 from me. How much you want?
4-1. We'll talk afterwards. Let's bring Hendrik in here now for his 100,000 bet.
Brent, before I get to the 100,000 rand, I actually backed Ireland at 5-1 in middle December. So I'm with you on the Irish. I like them. Not quite 100,000 rand bet, but I like the Irish for the World Cup. I'm with Gavin on the Lions. If you're going to take 5-10 on the Lions to take the South African conference, you need to admit it, because that price is mental. Just a stupid price. I can't.
Yes.
They're only offering 5-10 on it. I'm going to take the same bet as Gavin, the Sharks 22-10 to make the playoffs. Even if they were 9-10, 8-10 like last year, I would have taken that. I think they're really good to make the playoffs, and at 22-10, it's a great price. So yeah, I personally had a big bet on that, and that would be my bet on the 100,000 bet. Are you guys all on the master punter?
Yes, I've entered the master punter. I must be honest, I only entered the gold because I didn't, as you know, I flattened my GG Gaming account last week with that Edinburgh bet. So I've just gone smalls. I'm on the gold. Gavin, you've entered?
Yeah, I tried to enter the silver, the bronze, but they said it wasn't available, so I had to go for gold. Yeah, look, my reasoning is quite simple, Brent. I've got to believe that the bigger guys are going to go for the $5,000 play-in, and I think the 1,000 rand play-in is a lot easier to win than the 5,000 rand one. And my theory on this is that bigger players can't play this 1,000 rand game because they don't have they don't know what to do with a 100 rand bet or a 50 rand bet. They're going to go all in on their first play, and then they do their money. And
looks like it.
Yeah, I think.
There we go. Yeah, sorry, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think the bigger players will ignore they'll ignore the 1,000 rand game, because if they play that, they won't know what to do. I mean, personally, I've got mates that put $5,000 on, so they can't put 50 rand on a bet. They don't know what to do. They're in trouble. So I actually enter a 1,000 rand game. They're going to have to put a 1,000 rand down their first game off. Even a 500 rand bet will be difficult for them. They'll be out within 3 or 4 days. There'll be 5 oaks left, and we've got a chance. I don't know. It's easier to win.
So you and me are up against each other then in the 1,000 rand. I know Hendrik's in the platinum. Well, I'm assuming you are, Hendrik.
So let's have an even 500, Brent.
Yes. Oh yeah, Gav. No doubt about it. Let's have an even 500. Who finishes ahead? You can pay me next week because you normally bow out in the first week. And Hendrik, you're in the platinum, eh?
I am in the platinum, Brent, but the chances are good I won't even make the first week. My style is pretty aggressive in these type of things. I'll go aggressive in the first weekend and try and build a lead, or just bust out. I don't really give mine to bust out. So yeah, that's my style.
Excellent. I know Ruan for you had
Brent gone.
Yeah, no,
okay,
he's back.
Hey guys, you're back. Sorry, I think it's my connection playing joke. Well, I say Ruan for left the show because of a power failure. At that moment, my power went down as well. But Hein, let's bring you in there. What do you make of that? Platinum or gold?
No, I'm definitely more in the gold league, but I think I feel a little bit deflated after Oracle went in there. I was thinking that's exactly my strategy. I'll take the one game, I put it on a 5-1 batsman to be the top market in the Aussie or the Proteas, and there you go. I'm either in and got some nice bankroll, or I'm out of the one game. That's just after that I'll be a little bit more sensible, obviously. But mine's the first play. I need to. That's pretty much my poker style as well. I need some chips to play. If I don't have the chips, I'm poor.
Excellent. Well, guys, thanks very much for joining. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I was just going I was just going to say, what's nice about this particular game, which is different to the last one, is the horse racing's out and there's no buy-in. So my little plan of playing with $1,000 and sticking two grand in later, that can't happen. And there's no actually can pick sixes and jackpots and all that thing and all of that sort of thing and stuff us right at the end. So this is great. Yeah, I like the format. I think it's a great competition, and you should probably have it every month.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure Gary's going to have a good few more. I am going to be playing the gold as well. We look forward to seeing that leaderboard next week. James, thanks very much for joining us. It's been great talking proper rugby. Of course, we've got the build-up to Super Rugby coming, so we'll definitely be having a handicap show every week now, I would imagine, until at least after the World Cup later in the year. There's going to be plenty of rugby to chat about. It's been good having all of you guys on the live chat as well. Always good to get your comments, and hopefully if you guys are playing in the GG gaming competition, you'll go well as well. You can remember to subscribe to the videos, make sure you don't miss out on any of them, and also join us on the Good for the Game forum and the Good for the Game website this weekend. We will have plenty of tips on our rugby thread. Have a good one.